Today we're talking about The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 3. And wow, okay. It was a really good episode. I really enjoyed it. It was quite a self-contained small story that, for the most part, had nothing to do with The Mandalorian. And it's going to tie into either stuff later with this story or it's laying seeds to tie into the story that's already there to kind of give it more ground, like how Rogue One kind of gave more for New Hope, you know. Because Dr. Pershing was talking about cloning and stuff, and then obviously when you talk about cloning, you either think about the clones or you think about Snoke and the Emperor. And given where we are in the timeline, that's more of where it's going to be, especially given the fact that because of Grogu, they were looking for Force sensitive cloning. Okay. So we start off with Bo and Din in the Cave of the Living Waters and stuff, where they did all the ceremonies, and is the mythosaur layer. And they didn't recite the oath. Din didn't finish it last week. Do you know what I mean? And the kid didn't finish it in episode 1. I understand that, the thing is they're going into a ceremony. So if they just say, oh, well, I got some of the oath out, but not all of it, I kind of did it, you're not fulfilling the whole ceremony. Do you know what I mean? You either do it or you don't, kind of thing, in my opinion. So, but anyway, he's bathed in the waters, which is the important part. Do you know what I mean? I guess he might have just been saying the oath for his own, gratification or whatever, but the kid wasn't, and his was interrupted, so I'm imagining he has to say it a lot again later. I noticed that Bo questions Din about the mythosaur, but doesn't say anything when he asks about it, which makes me think, obviously, in that galaxy, you have to hold some cards close to your chest. Do you know what I mean? There's a chance for anybody to turn for the most part, friend or not, you know? So, so I understand, say, for example, she was like, oh, well, there was a mythosaur down there. And then he was like, oh, well, I'm going to go hunt it or whatever. And then she would have then an opposition and stuff, which we're going to get into later. I genuinely think that she's going to be coming back. So we get a cool space fight on the way from Mandalore back to it's Calabar, I think it is. And we see some TIE fighters on the way, and we have a nice little fight, a nice little dog fight. And then those fuckers blow up her castle, which is horrific and shouldn't be done in a conflict like that, especially because of what they did to her planet. Do you know what I mean? That's just insult to injury, in my opinion. Fully no need for it. All of their technology, there's so much of their architecture that's just been wiped out. Do you know what I mean? I understand that they're warriors and ignite conflict if there isn't any, just because they like to test themselves and stuff, but they test strong people, strong civilizations. They like to challenge themselves. They don't pick on weak people. There was no need to blow up that castle. It posed a threat to them in no way whatsoever. It was literally just to upset her. So yeah. So then we get to the core of the episode, and it's Dr. Pershing and his speech, and we see him being watched by I forget her name. It's a designation. It's G28 or something like that. An Imperial Communications Officer working under Moff Gideon. And then so the whole time, she's sitting there trying to ingratiate herself into his life and being a friend and stuff. In the reintegration kind of docks and home, and the whole time watching it, I was like, I don't fully trust her. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm waiting for something to go wrong. I'm waiting for her to do something sly, and it comes. Don't you worry about that. So she spends the entire episode, basically trying to get him to continue his research. He's very hesitant about it, even to the but wants to do it. So he asks the droid that he has like kind of daily probation meetings, weekly probation meetings with, can I do it? They say no. Cloning is against the rules, obviously because of the clones turning on everybody, and it's just way too hard to regulate. So they say no, and then he's like, okay. She sits there and then sits there convincing him, just like making him break smaller and smaller infractions to kind of make him kind of feel like, oh, okay, so it's not like the Empire. I'm not going to get in a ridiculous amount of trouble. Big Brother's not watching like that. Maybe I could consider continue my research in the dark. So then she gets him to go along. There's a quote unquote tense moment on the train where they're just without a ticket, and then he's following them down the train, and then she turns on him, and then that's when we get the mind flayer, right? So I have some issue here, right? So one, the fact that they're using a method of torture used by the Imperials and the Empire, they're like, right, we're going to take that technology and we're just going to turn down the juice, and we're not as bad. How does that work? Do you know what I mean? You're like, whether you've got as much juice in that puppy or not, you're still doing the same damn thing. How do you like justify that? And then like call her G28. I'm not 100% on her name. Then we see her turning up the dial and actually flaying Dr. Pershing's mind. And then two things, like, one, why? Do you know what I mean? You gained nothing from that other than the person from the Republic saying, hey, good job. You know what I mean? Like, maybe there's hope for this program yet. Small gains. I mean, I understand in the Empire is screw over your co-workers, get yourself promoted, that kind of deal. But to do that in the Republic and then just get that tiny bit, like, meant nothing. So there has to be something bigger. And then there's like so Moff Gideon wasn't like publicly held in a war tribunal. So there's whispers as to whether or not he was even taken in. Some say he made an escape. Some say he used the mind flayer on. So it's just who knows what, So if he did escape, she could be working with him. Who knows? But then also, like, there was two people in that room. One of them's a supervisor. One of them is her, right? The machine was set low function. He left it alone. She said, "Can I be left? And can I leave? Can I stay here and watch over him? He's my friend." The next thing, his mind's flayed, right? So whether he turns that down or whether she turns that down or not, either way, the machine malfunctions when you're left alone. If nobody points the finger at her, I'm going to be very upset. So then we go back to Bo and Din and little Grogu, who is a delight as always. And we see them get welcomed into the Watch again. They bring proof of the living waters. And then because Bo hasn't taken off her helmet since being in the waters either, the armorer welcomes her in and says you can leave at any point, but while you're here, you're one of us. Just keep your helmet on. And then everybody gives her signs of respect. I say everybody, obviously Paz Vizsla's being a bitch as always, but everybody's like, good job, well done. And then you could see, even under the helmet, you could feel that it meant a lot to Bo. You know what I mean? Like the respect of her peers and being welcomed back in. Um, so I genuinely think that that's going to tie into her, like her not saying anything to the mythosaur. I think that that's what's going to happen. I think that she's going to like ride the mythosaur and unite her people and try and turn Mandalore around. So we're going to see. But overall, a good episode. It wasn't like super tense watching it. Probably because I spent 3 hours researching Dr. Pershing again and going back and finding out what I'd forgotten. And then yeah, so it was really good. I did enjoy it. I was hoping obviously more for Din and Bo and stuff, and I was expecting a whole mythosaur fight. You know what I mean? But that might happen later on, like when they're trying to reclaim Mandalore. So who knows? We'll find out. But I would give it a solid 8 out of 10. The actors did a really good job holding it down. It was nice being back on Coruscant again. And yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know whether you liked it, whether you hated it, what you liked, what you didn't like. And yeah, I'll see you around for the next one.